This episode includes themes of domestic abuse, violence, and psychological manipulation. Listener discretion is advised, especially for those sensitive to these topics. If you or someone you know is affected by domestic violence or emotional abuse, please seek help from a trusted resource.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Once More. This is a podcast where two best pals rewatch, revisit, and re-examine some of our favorite shows and series. I'm Ryan something.
I'm Jen Katz.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah?
I'm good. I haven't walked in on my mother making out with a robot, so I'm doing okay.
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. I had a nice little weekend. I was able to catch up on some reading. I'm reading a really good book called Forget the Alamo.
Oh, yes. You've been talking about this one.
It's a great perspective from a historical lens of what was happening in Mexico at the time and what was happening in the U.S. at the time and what was happening with the frontiersmen that were coming to Texas at the time. And so it's an interesting perspective on the legend of the Alamo and how it all went down. Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be really interesting for you because, as I know, but maybe you all don't know, you are an 8th generation Texan.
I am 9, actually.
Well, that's good. It's always nice to have some reading time.
Nice to catch up on summer reading.
Yes.
Are you catching up on some summer reading?
I am in the throes of reading the first Crescent City book, and it's a tough read. I want to finish it just because I need to see how she's going to land this plane.
Yeah.
I loved her other books so much. I'm seriously thinking about getting a Throne of Glass tattoo. Love those books, but Crescent City is off the fucking rails. It is the plot. I cannot ground myself in this world. There is so much going on. I cannot make heads or tails of it. So, but I'm going to finish it. I'm almost done. I've got about 200 pages left. So, yeah, it's good.
Awesome.
All
well,
right.
Let's get into today's episode.
You know what?
Yeah.
Let's.
Today we'll be discussing the 11th episode of the 2nd season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Ted. Ted was written and directed by David Greenwalt, and it aired on December 8th, 1997.
I was newly 7 when this episode aired.
Very nice.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. Yeah. So do you want to tell us what this episode's about, other than the fact that John Ritter's here, guys? This is the episode that John Ritter's in.
This is the episode that John Ritter's in, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
In Ted, Buffy's mom, Joyce, starts dating a charming man named Ted. Buffy gets a bad vibe from him, but everyone else seems smitten. When Buffy tries to investigate, things go awry, and she feels terrible about the consequences. The Scooby Gang, including Cordelia.
Oh, yeah. Cordy's in now.
Discovers a dark secret about Ted that puts Joyce and Buffy in danger. Buffy has to face off against a foe more unexpected than a vampire. A vampire.
A vampire.
I'm from Texas. It's a vampire.
A vampire. Sure.
This episode comes right out the gate with Giles returning for In Every Generation.
Ripper's back. He's giving us the spiel.
Man, they are loosey-goosey.
I'm telling you what.
With this intro.
How do they decide? They throw it in this one, but don't put it over here.
I'm wondering if it's like a time thing.
It's gotta be.
They finished the episode too soon, and they're like, oh, we got to fill 15 seconds. I don't even. It's not even 15 seconds.
There's
it's
just
like
no
maybe
rhyme.
6 seconds.
There's no rhyme or reason.
I don't understand.
I don't either.
If you have an answer, we'd like to know.
oncemorepodcast@gmail.com.
Inquiring ears would love to know.
Yes.
So,
okay.
In the spirit of things, you can always depend upon us to have this for you at the beginning of every episode.
We're here.
In every generation, there is a chosen one. She alone will stand against the vampires, the demons, and the forces of darkness. She is the Slayer.
Well done.
Thank you.
No notes. There's never any notes, but
if you gave them to me, I gave them right back.
Fuck you and your stupid notes.
I got a note for you. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So we open this episode with Buffy, Willow, and Xander walking along the street. And Xander and Willow are in a heated debate.
They are.
Over who was the front person of the
duo.
The duo.
The yacht rock, soft rock duo.
Captain and Tennille.
Captain and Tennille.
Such a great.
Do that to me one more time.
Don't know that song. Oh, I do know that song. I do know that one. But I mean, arguably their most famous song is Love. Love will keep us together. Yeah, that's.
We don't know the rest of the words.
Buffy's kind of like, I don't know who these people are. And Xander's like, oh, you're so uncultured. Blah, blah, blah. And
he's such a prick.
I know. Willow's like, oh, you seem distracted. And she's like, I'm fine. I just love that things are quiet around here. So we're establishing that all's quiet on the Western Front.
That's not a good sign.
No. And then Xander's, they're doing the exposition dump here because Xander's like, yeah, with Spike and Drusilla's, they're gone. Everything's peachy keen. And then, of course, he says something like, I must be really jinxing myself here, huh? And we're all like, yeah, maybe don't do that.
Yeah.
And then I think Willow asked, she's like, okay, so are there any more Tarakan assassins coming after us? And then Buffy lets us know that Angel's sources have told her that the contract was called off. Point of order.
Yeah.
They just established that Spike and Drusilla are not around. For all intents and purposes, they think they've left town or they're dead.
They just don't know where they are.
Yeah. In the last 2 episodes, what's my line? It's established that the Order of Taraka, they don't stop until the job is done.
We had this discussion on the podcast.
We did.
It was like, hey, so what happens now?
Do they just
are they replaced like the Slayers replaced? But
right.
Evidently, the contract can be canceled. Who do you think is? I think I know who Angel's source was.
Who do you think it was?
Willie.
You think it was Willie the Rat?
I do.
Must have been.
Does he have another source in town that we know of? Not that we know of.
We'll see. I don't know. And it just
maybe it was like the talk at the blood bank.
Oh, when they go pick up they're at the butcher shop. Yes. Angel's sitting there with his bandaged hand, and some guy's like, Angel, that you might want to know.
Heard Spike skipped town.
He skipped town and canceled the contract. I don't know what that accent was. Okay, great. So, and then they ask how Angel is because he, as we all might recall, the last episode, he and Drusilla were, stabbed together with a knife, and he was tortured by Drusilla. And I think Buffy says, he's getting better. And Willow's like, oh, you love playing nursemaid.
Tortured by Drusilla. I don't think it was much torture for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, Willow tells Buffy, you love playing nursemaid. And then we get Xander. He has a great line. So it's better than playing naughty stewardess.
Oh my God. I'm sick. I need help.
This is.
Where does that even come from?
That's what I'm saying.
It's just out of left field. It's just the thoughts that are in his mind.
And look, we all joke with our friends.
Me too, all the time. You and I especially.
It's just the thing of it is like, Xander, you assaulted your friend. You've been a jealous little asshole.
Never apologized for it.
You've never apologized. You don't get to joke about naughty anything with Buffy. It's weird. I think it's weird. They get to Buffy's house. And Buffy looks a little worried because the door's unlocked, and she tells everybody, stay here. She goes inside. She hears a glass break and Joyce going, no. It's the weirdest no. But then Buffy swings open the kitchen door, and boy, howdy.
It's John Ritter.
It's Jonathan P. Ritter.
The legendary actor.
We love John Ritter.
Television, screen, and film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love John Ritter.
Good actor, son of the famous singing cowboy Tex Ritter.
So, I love John Ritter. This would have been the age when I was actually watching John Ritter on Nick at Night reruns in Three's Company.
Jack Tripper on Three's Company. That was his
Jack, Chrissy, and Janet.
His big break, yeah.
He was amazing. His comedic timing, his earnestness, his sweetness.
He won an Emmy. He won a Golden Globe for that character.
He was great.
He was fantastic.
John Ritter was an amazing actor.
He was.
May his memory be a blessing. He was in that sitcom. Was it 7 Rules?
It was Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. And this was unfortunately before his untimely death in 2003 due to an aortic dissection. So he had basically, I think, a tear in his heart that he didn't know about. And took him from us all too soon. Yeah, the entire world was mourning.
It was really sad.
But yes, he was a very versatile character actor and beloved in the acting community. I think he's been around.
He's great, and wish he was still around.
Now he's in Buffy's
He's great
kitchen
in this role
with Joyce,
who looks amazing. Joyce looks great. She's got a black dress with like flower print. Mm-hmm. There's like some cutouts in the back. I don't like Joyce in this episode, and we'll get into that further along, but she looks, Christine Sutherland, amazing. She's a great actor. She looks great. Love her.
She's got some Dallas hair going on in this episode.
Ooh, that was some hot rolled hair. You know those were hot rollers and some teasing. She looks great. It's bouncy. It was like she's in a shampoo commercial.
It does.
Like she looks great. She has great hair.
Been a shampoo advocate or ad person.
She should have been an advocate for shampoo.
Yes. Gotta wash
more
that man right
out of my hair. We need more shampoo. We need more. Okay. So
get it, Joyce.
Joyce is fully making out with John Ritter.
Ritter, which is just crazy.
And Buffy's like, I thought something was wrong. And Joyce is like, oh no, I just broke a wine glass and started making out with my boy toy. Don't mind me. Mm-hmm. And she says, Buffy, this is Ted. Dun, dun, dun.
Buffy's looking at Ted with daggers.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is this man in my kitchen with my mother?
Smooching.
Making out.
Yeah. And
she's got to be thinking this is some sort of like spell or this is something related to the supernatural.
Right. And rightfully so. This is how she lives her life. And what does she say? She's like, so all these nights at the gallery.
You were cataloging more than art? Choices. Trying to process this.
Yeah. And we learn that Ted sells computer software. He's a great guy. He helped Joyce with her software system at the gallery, and it's really made her more efficient. I'm like, I'm sure he has, sister.
I love that this is a time period where Ted is successful because he's a software salesperson.
That kills me. He sells floppy disks.
Yeah.
And
he does.
He's winning over everybody. He's over in the kitchen making mini pizzas.
He's impressing everyone with his cooking, with his charm.
Yeah, he's telling Willow and Xander, you got to bake them. And then at the last minute, you put them in a cast iron with olive oil and herbs. And I'm like, let me eat this.
Sounds good.
I want a mini pizza. And he's charming Xander with the pizzas. Joyce and Buffy have been over here talking. And Buffy's like, again, what's going on? And she's like, yeah, when Joyce tells Buffy, when Ted updated my software, really freed up a lot of my time. And Buffy says to meet new people and smooch them in my kitchen. That's such a childish thing to say. And that's not a criticism.
Hey,
it's what we
listen. If you came home to your single mother and found someone in the kitchen smooching and she's on a date, you'd be like, who in the hell are you?
Yes.
Beyond Ted, who are you?
Yeah.
Joyce.
Exactly. What are you doing?
What is happening here?
What is happening? And then Willow, she's talking to Ted. I like my new 9 gig hard drive. Ted says, but you don't love it because without the DMA upgrade, your computer's only half a rocket ship.
Oh my God.
It's like, I don't understand what these people are talking about. And Willow says, yeah, but who can afford the upgrades? And Ted says, well, you can. I can get the demos for free. I don't see why I shouldn't give them to you for the same price. Any friend of Buffy's is a friend of mine. But
Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah. And everybody's all like excited. Willow's like squealing in glee. Xander's eating the pizzas like, these are the best pizzas I've ever had in my life.
Sold for $200.
And Buffy's wigged. She's just looking around like, what is happening? Mm-hmm. Ted offers her a pizza. She's like, no. And then he's all charm, all politeness. He tells Buffy, hey, I want to apologize. This isn't how I wanted us to meet. I wanted our meeting to be perfect. I'm really fond.
Red flag.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really fond of Joyce, and I know you're the most important thing in her life. So, well, he's like, gosh darn it, that makes you pretty important to me. Mm-hmm. Buffy's not buying it, and neither are we.
No.
So we see, again, he's all charm right now, but we see the first kind of glimpse of something amiss because Joyce comes over and she's like, Buffy, I really want you to be okay with this. And then Ted says, beg to differ. We want you to be okay with this. And it's subtle.
It's subtle, but it's enough.
On the surface, you're like, oh, that's sweet. Like he's trying to be on a team with Joyce.
But it's more of a subtle condescension toward Buffy than it is anything. And it's a red flag to me and to her.
It is. And Buffy, her hackles are up.
As they should be.
As they should be. So we cut to the next scene and it's a vampire flying into a picnic table.
Getting his ass kicked by Buffy.
Buffy is...
She's taking out all of her aggression on this vampire. And Giles is like, you can stake him at any moment now.
He's like,
Buffy's like, no, I'm going to rough him up. She's really taking it out on this guy, which is kind of sad she's torturing this vampire.
No. Okay. We have got to have a button where it's a point of order.
Yeah.
Okay. As you all know, I love this show. It brings me so much joy. Mm-hmm. It is a part of me as a person. But rewatching it, I always
don't piss her off or beat the shit out of you before she murders you
with a trash can. Right, she has a trash can lid, doesn't she?
She does.
Smacking him with a trash can.
It's that or like a sewer grate. I can't figure it out. I think it's a trash can lid.
Yeah. But there are some things in this episode, okay? Buffy is horrified, devastated, traumatized by the idea that she may have killed a human.
Mm-hmm.
Vampires are not humans, but like, why are we torturing them? Can't you just move on?
No, she couldn't. That's what Giles is, I think, trying to point out. He's like,
yeah, can we?
At any moment now, Buff, just go ahead and put the guy out of his misery.
Any moment now.
Yeah.
So they sit down and they're at a playground. They're not at the cemetery. There's no cemetery fighting this whole episode. So Buffy finally stakes a vampire. And Giles is like, you okay? How's it going?
No.
And
she's not.
Yeah, she's like, well, what? I kill vampires. That's my job. And he's like, well, yeah, but you usually don't like beat them into a pulp beforehand. Like everything all right? And she's just like, it's fine. We're fine. I'm fine. Totally fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally fine.
This is your opportunity. He's extending a hand and an ear, and she's declining.
She is.
To open up.
And she changes the subject and says, I killed a vampire here last Wednesday. Like, why are they all hanging out at the park? And Giles, this is what I mean by the exposition dump, because we're trying to explain why we're at the park and not the cemetery. And Giles says, without their leaders, times of crisis, they return to the easiest feeding grounds. Point of order.
Okay.
Vampires come out at night. Typically, children aren't at playgrounds at night.
They're not. But there might be some stragglers.
I feel like the
adolescents that are like sneaking out. Where are you going to go? Playground?
You said this yesterday. The easiest feeding ground would absolutely be the Bronze.
The Bronze for sure.
Go to the Bronze.
Go to the Bronze.
And Buffy says vampires are creeps, and she does the thing where she's talking about one thing but disguising it as something else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are perfectly happy getting along, and then vampires come and they run around and kill people, and then they take over your whole house. They start making these stupid little mini pizzas, and everyone's like, I like your mini pizzas, but I'm telling you. And Giles cuts her off.
It's like, I think that the subtext is becoming text.
Yeah. And again, he's like, do you want to share?
You want to talk about what's bothering you?
No. And she says, nah, forget about it. Buffster.
There you go. Compartmentalize.
There we go. And then we go to Sunnydale High School, and Xander is still talking about the goddamn pizzas.
Of course.
He's like, Buff, did you try them? Did you try them? Buffy, they were so good. Blah, blah, blah. Here's my first outfit. My nay.
Okay.
Willow Rosenberg.
Ah, yes. The crimson pants.
She's Scarlet Witch cosplaying. She's got red pants.
That's a really good reference.
With a little belt and a red shirt and
it's not a little belt, it's a wide belt.
What? It's a bad belt.
It's not the greatest.
No, and it's too much red. And Willow, as a redhead, gets to, I think redheads in red can look phenomenal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is not one of those times.
Yeah, and we all know that her color is green.
She looks great in a green.
Looks great in green.
Great. And pink. She looks great in pink.
And pink. And black.
She looks great. Yeah. Not in this outfit though. And they're talking about how great Ted is. Like, he's so nice. Give him a chance. And Buffy's like, there's something too clean about this clown.
Buffy clocks him early.
And no, the fact that nobody takes her seriously, like her best friends. This is the Slayer who saved everybody's lives multiple times. Her instincts have proven to be right most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Xander, you don't have a leg to stand on because, homeboy, you were in love with a praying mantis.
Miss French.
You turned into a hyena.
The pack.
You ate a pig, right?
The pack.
And Willow was in a relationship with a demon on the internet. So maybe.
Yeah. Maybe they're not the best judge of characters.
I would think, but
no, there's Buffy. She hasn't been spot on 100% all the time.
That's true.
She's also not leaned into trusting her instinct, which has caused her to kind of bumble some of that sometimes. So,
which I do like that because she is a 16-year-old. But and Xander being Xander, he's like, you're having parental issues. And he starts going kind of like, nah, you're having parental issues. And he's invoking Sigmund Freud. Shut the fuck up. Y'all, I know people are probably listening to this like, man, Xander can't say or do anything. No, he can't.
No, we just want to smack him most of the time.
Because he
has his moments.
He does.
Where he comes in clutch.
Yeah.
But they are few and far between.
And later in this episode where he finally is like, we're going to do whatever we can to make sure Buffy doesn't go to jail. That's a great friend. That's a great Xander.
Sure. But a lot of times he's just being a goofy teenager.
And again, we keep referencing the pack where he assaulted Buffy. Anyway, so Buffy's like, I just can't, it's Ted this, Ted. And Xander all of a sudden looks behind her and he's like, Ted.
Oh, hey, Ted.
Ted's at the school. Red flag.
Yeah. This is
often
back in the days where you didn't have to check in as a visitor.
You just waltz into a school. And he, Buffy asks, what are you doing here? He said, I was updating the
school software
in the guidance.
Yeah. Snooping on Buffy, probably.
Well, we learn later because he learned.
Pulling her records.
Yeah. And he gives Willow a stack of floppy disks held together by a rubber band. And he says, Buffy, your mother and I would like to take you mini golfing. He's like, you want to swing the irons with the old folks?
Nope.
No.
No, we don't, Ted.
No, we don't.
Not with you.
And Buffy's same. She's like, But Xander and Willow get invited.
Yeah. And
they're like, can we go? Can we go? Please, please, please. And Buffy's like, acquiesces like, okay, fine.
Please.
Can we play mini golf? Okay. Welcome. Is this a episode of Once More or is it Unhinged?
Yes.
We'll never tell.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's for you to decide.
Ding. Next scene. This is thrilling because we have the return
of Jennifer Calendar.
Yes.
Miss C.
She's
back.
She is back.
She looks great.
A little black teacher dress, but it fits her great. She's looking good. Oh, but it's not a good moment for our boy Giles.
Kind of a tough scene for Giles. Giles is checking in on Ginny. He's been feeling guilty and I think responsible for what happened to her and also responsible for making sure that she's okay.
Yep.
And so he spends a little bit of time trying to probe whether or not she feels okay, whether or not they're on speaking terms.
Right.
He's trying to fill her out. He's trying to get to the bottom of things, see where she's at with her feelings, and maybe see if things can go back to the way that they were before.
Yeah.
And she basically tells him that, hey, I know that some time has passed, but I still need some space. And it was really tough for him to hear. I think she said, don't get those puppy dog eyes, and he got the puppy dog eyes when she told him that. And it was tough. I think he's looking for a resolution to what happened and for maybe them to try to find their footing again. I think he really does like her. Remember, he dived to try to save her.
He cares a lot about her.
And she's just trying to set some boundaries that, hey, it's too soon and I just need a little bit of space. And it's tough for him to kind of process that.
It is. And, it's hard to see. Before we continue our discussion about the scene,
Yeah,
I know it's early,
it is.
but how do you feel about making this our first Black Box Theater of the
do it.
episode?
Let's do it. Let us
go forth.
Let us entertain you.
Okay. On today's episode of Vampire Black Box Theater, the role of Rupert Giles will be played by Randy something. And the role of Jenny Calendar will be played by me, Jen Katz. Scene.
Cut to Miss Calendar's classroom. She's gathering assignments from the desks. Giles walks up to the door and steps in. Hello, Jenny.
Rupert, hi.
Some of your textbooks were delivered to the library. Do you want me to hang on to them?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll send the kids by to pick them up.
Right. Good. He turns around, starts to leave the room.
Pretty flimsy excuse for coming by to see me.
He comes back in. You should have heard the ones I threw. I wanted to see how you were doing.
I'm doing pretty good, actually. I've stayed out of mortal danger for 3 whole weeks. I can get used to it. Still having trouble sleeping, though.
He steps closer. Oh, of course. You need time?
Or possibly space. Rupert, I know you're concerned, but having you constantly poking around, making little puppy dog eyes at me, wondering if I'm okay, you make me feel bad that I don't feel better, and I don't want that responsibility.
Sorry. I certainly don't mean to make dog eyes at you. I'm just
worried. I know.
I shouldn't have bothered you.
See.
It's tough.
It's tough because neither are necessarily wrong.
No.
Giles's intentions are good. And we've all been on both sides of this. I've definitely been in Giles's position where my actions, whether directly or indirectly, have caused someone pain, emotional or whatever. And you have that feeling of like, especially when you didn't mean to. Right. And you're like, are you okay? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I get that. But however, on the other side, I've been the person where I'm like, hey, I hear you.
Still a little tender.
I'm still tender. I need to process and I need space.
That's it.
I need you to respect it. Yeah. This is good writing to me.
It is.
We get a sense of their relationship. It's still not where it was. There's been 3 weeks of probably little to no communication. Yeah. Jenny's still processing and Giles feels guilty. And I really enjoyed this scene as hard as it was to watch for a boy.
It was, but I'm hopeful because here we have 2 adults who are communicating with one another, and it may be a bit painful for Giles that Chinny's not over it yet, and I don't think he necessarily expects her to be over it. I think he just wants to help.
He does,
and because he's a helper,
right?
And he's kind of just touching base with her, and she's like, "Hey, buddy, I just, we've had some time, but I also need just a little bit more space.
I need a little bit more time."
It's kind of bummed out for him.
Yeah, it is sad,
but it's a good scene. Like you said, it's good writing.
Now we cut to Angel's bachelor pad, bachelor apartment. Buffy's going on about Ted. She's wrapping Angel's hand because, he can't possibly change his own dressings.
Now he's kind of leaned back in his chair.
Yeah.
She's sitting on the arm. And she's
it's cute.
It's very couple-ish.
It is very couple-ish. And she's like, all everyone wants to do is talk about Ted. And Angel's like,
yeah.
Are you going to talk about something else at some point? And I like this Angel because he's being gentle. He's not telling Buffy, grow up, quit being a kid. Like your mom needs some companionship. Like get over it. Buffy's like, yeah, I get it. I just have so much to deal with. I don't need some new guy in my life. And Angel very gently says, maybe your mom does.
That's it.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. No, he says, hey, loneliness is about the scariest thing there is. And that was so kind of profound in this moment because I'm thinking from Angel's point of view, he's 240 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably found many years or decades where he's been lonely.
Yeah.
And I know that he wasn't, always the nice guy with a soul.
No.
I'm sure he kept himself entertained doing some terrible things early on, but he's also kind of been a loner. He's been kind of cast out from the rest of the vampires. He's chosen to not proceed with that sort of lifestyle for quite some time. And
Right.
I'm sure before Buffy came along, he was probably quite lonely. We don't know because we don't have a full backstory. At least I don't. Maybe we learn later.
Yeah, we'll learn this at the end of this season. We get a little bit more backstory on Angel. Right. Yeah, but you're spot on. Yeah, I think he lived with the guilt of all the stuff he had done before he got his soul.
Yeah. Drove
him a little into a cycle of depression.
Yeah.
And he has kept himself apart because he doesn't want to hurt people again.
Yeah. And, I totally can relate to this feeling, being someone who's, single and have other people who are just as scared of being lonely coming out of long-term relationships.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't, I'm scared to be alone. And it's like, hey, I'm not going to try to fluff it up and say that it's always easy because it's not. And I think a lot of people are scared that they're going to be alone, and that prevents them from making decisions that might actually be in their best interest. And you might actually find out that being alone sometimes has its perks.
I'm sure.
Absolutely. But I understand what he's saying here. And it's a scary thought for everyone. So I don't always feel alone. I have great people in my life like you and your family.
Yeah.
And a close set of friends in my family who make me feel very loved and included. And anyway, thank you.
Yeah. And I love this next little line. Really sent me off the couch, though. You were being profound, and now I'm going to revert to being 13-year-old.
You became a puddle.
I did. Buffy was like, okay, so my mom needs a guy in her life. It doesn't have to be Ted. And Angel says, do you have someone else in mind? Is there a guy out there that would satisfy you?
Mm-hmm. He says as he kind of looks into her eyes.
He's not talking about Ted anymore.
No, he's ready to change the subject.
He is
satisfying Buffy, and I think that she leans in for a smooch, if I'm not correct.
Well, before that, she kind of says the thing that we've all probably as divorced or children of divorced couples said. She's like, my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, no, that's never going to happen. But again, we've talked about it on the podcast. My parents divorced when I was young. Your parents divorced when you were young.
Mm-hmm.
And there was definitely times where I was like, I wish my mom and dad would get back together. We could all live in the same house.
Yeah.
Now as a 33-year-old in a marriage and in a relationship, it's hard work. She's like, okay, fine. I'll give Ted a chance. But Angel's move on. He's like, he just looks at her and says, kiss me. And she says, oh, finally something I want to do. And then they kiss.
They smooch. And
that's great.
I love this scene. The way that it's shot from the beginning of the scene, I can't remember. I think they zoom in later. But from the beginning of the scene, the way that it's shot with the lighting, and they're kind of in the center of the shot, the center of his room, it looks like a Renaissance painting. And you've got like the angel on the chair, and you've got the Madonna.
I love it.
Buffy above him, who's tending to his hand, and the way the lighting. Anyway, it's a great shot. Whoever did the shot,
I agree. I noticed that too, and I'm not big on. I don't notice certain things like you do, but I even thought, I was like, I really like the way this scene looks.
It's a good shot.
And they're distracting us from his stolen artwork. So give it back, Angel. Okay.
Angel's Apartments, the British Museum. God.
The nation of Greece would like a word with you, sir.
Oh, no.
Okay. So we cut to mini golf.
Mm-hmm.
Buffer, Reno, Buffster, Buffy Buffington.
Okay.
What the fuck is she wearing to mini golf?
This is where we.
It's bad.
This is one of the few times that we disagree. I think she looks great.
No,
I could leave the pants. She could take the pants off.
Oh, sir. My angel would like to speak to you.
She could swap out the slacks, the khaki slacks, for a skirt. If she had like her black skirt on that she usually wears, she wears like one of those little mini things.
Yeah.
With the leopard or cheetah print top. I can't recall what it was. with the glasses. She looks great. From here up,
but the shoes,
it's great.
the clunkers.
Listen, you like the clunky
Not
shoes.
those clunkers.
Well,
I don't like those.
next time I see them, I'm pointing them out.
So Buffy, she's playing mini golf. Everyone else has sensible outfits on. Buffy's
They all
wearing,
have,
she's looking like Adriana from The Sopranos with the cheetah print cami. Those, like, they were like slacks, but they didn't have pockets, and they were bell bottoms, and they're khaki. And she's wearing the clunkers from the end of What's My Line Part 2, when she's wearing that other terrible outfit.
I like the top and the hair and the sunglasses.
I like Joyce. Joyce has a purple chunky knit sweater with the sleeves pushed up, and she's got the mom jeans, casual mom on a Saturday. Love it.
Casual mom on a date.
She's a single mom who's playing mini golf with a robot boyfriend who should be stopped.
Nice.
Thanks.
Good job. You're getting better.
I'm getting better. Why get my brain?
It's gonna be like the Joyce.
Why did I get finance
Every time
skills?
Joyce is on this show, you're gonna have to do a ditty.
I'll do a ditty.
She's a single mom working at the art gallery.
Oh, just you wait.
Letting vampires in, and she shouldn't.
Joyce, you don't even have a barbecue fork in your kitchen. You just got bitten.
That's great. I was gonna go on with that. Was perfect. That's good.
So Ted is talking about how he brought a picnic to mini golf. I'm like, who brings a picnic to mini golf? You're playing mini golf.
Also, is picnic a noun?
You can say I'm bringing a picnic. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
picnic was.
It's a noun and a verb.
Okay, go.
I looked it up. The more you know. So he says to Buffy, and this just gave me the ick. He's like, man, I bet the boys are lined up around the block to date her. And Willow pops up and she's like, oh no, Buffy's really into, and she's about to say like Angel or something. And Buffy like elbows her, because now we've confirmed that Joyce does not know that Buffy is dating Angel. She's met Angel,
right?
Because he was her college age tutor. Sure. Then Ted follows that lineup with something pretty creepy and says, oh, Buffy, I bet the boys are lined up around the block trying to get a date with you. And Buffy brushes him off. She's like, nah. And Willow says, oh, they are. But she's only interested in, and Buffy gives her the elbow. She says, the books, her studies.
Yes.
Book Cracker Buffy. That's kind of her nickname. And Ted's all, well, happy to hear it. I guess that means your grades are going to improve. And Buffy's like, what? Mom, how does he know about my grades? And Joyce is like, oh, I told him. He's so concerned about you. He wants to know everything about you.
Joyce, what is happening in your mind? Where are you? Where's your head at?
It's not good. And then Ted hits the ball, and Joyce is like basically a cheerleader. Yay, go Ted.
Go Teddy.
Teddy. Gross. Ugh. And then Buffy takes her shot, and Ted's coaching her, which I hated. That just... You don't know her. You know,
there's so many men still to these days that try to coach women on sports.
Yep. What reminded me of the Barbie film where they're like, you get the, pretend you're helpless at sports. They can't help themselves. And it's that little montage of, here, let me show you. Here,
right.
Let us show you.
Yeah. Oh no, let me help you with that tennis swing with that backhand. Get out of here. So backhand for you.
Buffy goes up and hits it into the rough. And we hear the first iteration of Little Lady, and I hate it. She hits it in the rough, and he goes, oh, bad luck, Little Lady. And Joyce is like, oh, we won't count it.
God, how many red flags are we going to have before Joyce finally gets the picture?
Yeah, she's just like, oh, we won't count it. And Ted's like, we won't? And the way he's saying it is still charming and still nice, but it's sinister.
Right.
Joyce is like, it's just mini golf. And he goes, the rules are the rules. And what we teach her is what she takes out into the world when we're not there, whether it's at school or an unchaperoned party. Mm-hmm. Looks at Buffy and says, I don't mean to overstep my bounds. This is between you and your mother.
While he oversteps his bounds.
Exactly. I just think right is right. And then Joyce, instead of backing up her kid, says, he has a point. Joyce.
Red flag.
Joyce.
Red flag.
Yeah, and so then Buffy goes and picks up her ball.
And she drops it in the hole. She's like, oh, in 2.
Yeah.
And the camera turns and Ted's standing right there and he says, I think you're missing the point here, little lady.
And if you heard our disclaimer at the beginning of the episode, here's one of the instances where we're going to be talking about threats of violence, verbal abuse. So feel free to skip ahead, a couple minutes if you so need to do that.
He tells her, he's like, I don't stand for that kind of malarkey in my house.
And she's like, well, it's a good thing I'm not in your house.
Yeah. The malarkey.
Yeah. And
it's tough.
Yeah.
Where Ted's controlling nature is exposed. He's becoming enraged over trivial matters during mini golf.
Yeah.
It further escalates Buffy's suspicion that something's up with this dude.
Right. When he's talking to her and he's getting more and more upset, he's got the golf club and he's hitting his calf with it.
Yeah, he starts hitting his calf.
Yeah.
Yeah, Buffy's immediately suspicious of Ted's kind of too good to be true persona. And despite the outward kindness, Buffy senses that something's off and that's starting to create some tension. But her instincts are validated when his demeanor changes with the golf club, showing that he's controlling, he's aggressive, and this is a side that not gonna fly with Buffy.
No, and then when she responds to I don't stand for that kind of malarkey in my house, and she says, well, it's a good thing I'm not in your house. And he says, do you want me to slap that smart ass mouth of yours?
Whoa.
And she is in shock.
Yeah.
And she sees everybody else come up and he turns around, all smiles. Who's up for dessert? I made cookies. That's such a whiplash. And if you have ever been in an emotionally abusive situation, that's how it is a lot of the time.
That's it. He's gaslighting the friends and Buffy's like, wait, hold on a second.
He just said he was going to slap me.
You said you were going to slap me. You are hitting yourself. He's riding her pretty hard.
He is. And it's tough to see, it's tough to see Buffy's reaction. It's tough to see her watch him be jovial and kind and nice to her mother and her friends.
But isolate her.
Yeah, it's scary. So we cut to Buffy's house. It's the next day. And
Joyce has some sticky buns.
Goodbye. I don't want to mess with these wires, but goodbye. She's like, Buffy, do you want...
She's making sticky buns.
She didn't make them.
Okay.
Damn it.
Well.
Okay. So she offers Buffy a sticky bun that Ted made. And Buffy's like, no thanks. Listen, I am a professional podcaster. This Yahoo over here is just yucking it up. And the listeners won't stand for this. Buffy's like, no thanks. And Joyce kind of starts berating Buffy for how she treated Ted on Saturday.
Yeah.
And she's like, Buffy, if you just give him a chance, I know you'll grow to love him like I do. Buffy's like, you're in love with him?
Hold on.
Yeah. And Joyce is like, well, maybe. I don't know. And then Buffy's like, he threatened me. He said he was going to slap my face. And Joyce is like, he did no such thing. It was hard to watch that. So hard to watch that. She said, you were cheating. Ted told me. And the fact that he didn't call you out in front of everybody else, like, that's how nice is he? And I'm like, Joyce. This is a good episode. It is. It's a good episode that shows how a lot of these situations, unfortunately, can go when children come to their parents and say they have been hurt in any type of way. There's still a lot of times the parents don't want to believe it, especially if it's somebody the parent knows and cares about.
Right.
And the parent, they can't comprehend it. They don't want to. And they're like, no, you must be mistaken. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
It's tough. And she says, Ted's coming over tonight to make us dinner. I need you home. She does this little number promptly at 6. And Buffy just kind of.
Oh, that's a very mom move.
It is. And she storms out. Go to the high school, and Xander and Willow, same thing. They're like, Buffy, maybe you're overreacting. Like, you're probably just bummed because your parents are divorced and it's hard. And Buffy's like,
from their perspective, I think that they're, trying to be reasonable. It's like, okay, let's talk this out. Maybe it's an overreaction because of how you're feeling.
Right. And
Buffy's
yeah. And I guess she hasn't told them what he said about slapping her, so they don't know. And Buffy's like, no. And asks Willow, she's like, I need you to look into him, like find his records, anything we can find on this guy.
Sure.
And I'm sorry, Buffster.
Listen.
This outfit's god awful. It's terrible. It's like what is that print? What is this?
I don't know what it is.
It's like it's a sheer burgundy.
But then it's got like
a shrug.
Shoulder, like a shawl kind of look to it. I don't know.
I don't know. It's not great.
It's not her finest look. But, it's interesting because, these days, folks do this all the time. It's like, oh, hey, I need to find out everything about this person that my friend's dating, that my mom's dating, that whatever's dating.
Yeah, you don't need your Willow hacker friend to do that anymore. You can just get on the internet.
You do it now. So
yeah, that was kind of...
Buffy was ahead of her time.
Oh, yes. While Buffy's a major nay, Mademoiselle Cordelia Chase walking up is a slay.
Miss Chase and...
Slay.
What's Willow's last name?
Rosenberg.
Miss Chase and Miss Rosenberg both have slay outfits for me.
I don't hate Willow's. It doesn't hit as well as Cordelia's does for me, but
Willow's got this kind of pleated, I don't know if it's a skirt or a dress, but she's got a kind of a chunky, kind of long, dark sweater with kind of red and green and maybe navy stripes going across it. And her hair, like, she looks great.
She does.
And she's got kind of the little chunky, like low-rise chunks that she's wearing
her
with
shoes.
it. Anyway, yeah, her shoes.
She's got tights
looks
on
really
too,
good. I
right?
don't know if she has tights.
I can't remember. Yeah.
And then Cordelia walks out. While I was like slaying over it with Willow, Cordelia walks over, and you were like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah.
And she looks great. So Cordelia has this.
Yes.
She's got this yellow skirt on with this brown top, and
it's belted.
It's belted, and she's like just put together the way that she always is.
Knee-high boots.
She's got her hair straight with bangs.
Sunglasses.
Knee-high boots, sunglasses. She looks great, and Xander is just like head over heels.
Yeah, he's like, nice outfit, Cordy.
Right. And she's like, what?
What did you say? Shut up. Like,
yeah, like she really comes down hard on him, and he's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
I was giving you a compliment.
Yeah, so he follows her.
Yeah, and Buffy and Willow give each other a like, what's going on there? And he follows her, and
he's like, hey, just trying to pay you a compliment. She's like, did you ever think that by you paying me a compliment, the other two are going to figure out what's going on over here, right?
Yeah, because he says something about, I gave you a compliment. And she's like, don't do that. They're going to figure it out.
So silly. He's like, well, pardon me all over the place.
Yeah.
You want to go make out in the coat closet? And she's like, okay.
I love it.
It's so great.
Good
for them. I love that. I love two people who like to make out.
I don't like the smooshing them together, hitting us over the head with it. But now that we're in it, I like I'm here for this little fighty kiss that they've got going on. Yeah. I'm here for
enemies to lovers trope. It's great.
I love it. And we cut back to Buffy and Willow, and Willow, Buffy says, hey, I really need you to look into Ted. And Willow says, I got you. I'll do it. And Buffy says, starting with where he works. So we cut to Buffy just leaves school, apparently. Sure. Just fucks off. Goes to Ted's office, his computer software sales office.
So great. Cubicles everywhere.
Oh, it's like office space. Yeah.
Right.
And he's on the phone with his little headset.
It's making a sale.
Closing the deal.
Always be closing.
Always be closing. And he goes to his whiteboard. He's got all the tally marks. Like he's over here and everyone else is like here.
Yeah, he's got like 12 on the board and everyone else has got like, Neil's got 6.
Oh, Neil.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm going to lunch. And he leaves.
Gotta announce it.
And Buffy sticks around and she meets Neil over at the coffee pot.
At the whiteboard.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, you must be new. And Buffy says her name is
Linda.
Belinda.
Belinda. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's a temp. And man, Neil is a chatty Cathy. He's just He said, he calls Ted the machine. Says he's a genius. He knows everything about computers.
Ted, the man's a machine.
Yeah.
Hang on to that one, folks. Ding.
And he says, if I sound bitter, it's because I am. And I love that.
I love Neil.
Know yourself, right?
Yeah,
like if I sound bitter, it's because I am.
Great. He's like, well, guess I better get back to the old grind.
And he's back to the salt mine.
Back to the salt mine. I love it.
But he also tells Buffy he drops a bombshell.
Oh.
He says, thank God he's taking off for the wedding.
That's right.
He's got it scheduled for 2 months from now.
Man, don't you know that her stomach just sank?
Ugh. And then, he says, oh, there's the boss. Got to go back to the salt mines. Toddles off. And Buffy goes to Ted's desk, and there's a picture of Joyce.
It's the only thing on Ted's desk besides the computer and a phone is a photo of Joyce.
Could be a neat freak.
Buffy's being a little suspicious. She recognized that image, and she opens the back of the frame and pulls the photo out. And what was a photo of Buffy and Joyce is now just a photo of Joyce because he's bent the photo in half. Maybe just to fit the frame, but
maybe.
No. Yeah.
And they make a point to show us this photo earlier in the kitchen.
Right.
It's on the fridge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's stolen the photo from their fridge to put on his desk. That's creepy. Creepy. And so we cut to Buffy's house. It's now the dinner that Buffy was supposed to be there promptly at 6. And they're praying. Ted is praying.
Buffy, Joyce, and Ted. Ted's praying, and Buffy is throwing daggers at this man from across the table.
She is. She's got her arms crossed.
Oh, yeah. With body language.
He's got his hands folded. He's like the picture of just wasp.
The head of the household.
Head of the yeah.
Sorry. Head of the household.
I short circuited.
Oh.
Am I a robot?
Maybe.
You
are not a robot.
I am not a robot. I am in a dream. So yeah, Ted's praying. He says, we thank you for what we are about to receive. We ask that you bless this house and help the people in it be more productive, more considerate, and more honest. Amen.
That wasn't pointed at all.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And
Ted.
Buffy's just...
She's glaring.
She knows.
And Ted's like, wow, another great day at work. Buffy, how was school? Did you learn anything? And Buffy just kind of says, yeah, I learned a lot. Like,
yeah, she did.
Yeah.
She learned that you're getting ready to get married to her mother.
Yeah. And
she calls him out.
Well, before I just have to call out one thing. Ted says, Joycie, what about you? And I'm like, don't you call her Joycie. I hate it. And
it just baffles me that that's a pet name for someone named Joyce.
Joycie, it doesn't. It makes me think of Boise, Idaho, and it doesn't work for me.
Word association.
Okay, so Buffy's refusing to eat, and he's like, "Well, little lady, it's not just for looks; it's for building strong bodies." That's what you say to a child. I say that to my 6 and 4-year-olds.
No, he's treating her like a child.
It's dumb, and she's just sitting there, and she finally, she comes out with it. She asks,
"Are y'all getting engaged?" And
Joyce is like, no, whatever gave you that idea?
And old Ted's like, well, it's none of your business if we do or if we don't.
Yeah. He's like, now, Joycie, let me handle this.
Right.
Bleh. Like,
he's sitting at the head of the table.
Yep.
He's saying the prayers. He's disciplining her daughter. What gives you the right, sir?
Exactly. It's so gross. And he does the thing that abusers do, where he tells Buffy, we're not engaged right now, but one day we might be. And how do you feel about that? It's okay to have feelings and it's okay to express them.
The condescending tone.
Yeah, exactly. When in reality, it is not okay for her to express her feelings.
Right.
As long as, unless they align with his. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, Buffy was like, I'm over this. May I be excused? And Joyce says, you can go to your room.
So she storms off.
She does.
And Ted consoles Joyce.
Oh, you mean Joycie?
Joycie by reminding her, you don't get to be a salesman of the year by giving up after a couple of rejections.
Gross.
Okay.
And now we cut to the playground.
We do.
Yeah, Buffy's on the swing with her stake. Like, vampires. Oh, vampires.
Come get you some.
Come and get your steaks. So Buffy's like, ugh. She goes home. We cut to her climbing through a window. She gets into her room. Ted's in there.
Dark. Ted's sitting in a dark room.
In
her room.
In her room. And she sees her. Oh, I'm sorry. She gets in and she's like, what are you doing? And he says, you told your mom. Well, I'm sorry. Your mother told you to go to your room, not to go gallivanting about town. And Buffy looks around and she sees that he's got like one of her Slayer books, her Slayer paraphernalia.
Okay.
And she's like, are you going through my stuff? And he says, yeah, like doesn't even deny it. He says, yeah. And, she says, that's my personal property. How dare you? And he says, oh, how's it different from you going to my office and snooping around?
Ooh, he knows.
He knows. And then he opens the book and he's like, what exactly is a vampire slayer? Yikes. I just put in my notes. Fuck.
Yeah. Well, that cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. And she just says, none of your business. And gives her the beg to differ, little lady.
Little lady, this is like the third or fourth time we've heard it.
Yeah. And she says, you need to get out of here. And he tells her, or what? Or you'll slay me. I'm not some goblin you made up in your diary. I'm real and I'm here to stay. And he basically says, hey, if you don't do what I say when I say it, or fall in line, I'm going to show this to your mom and you'll spend the rest of your life behind the walls of a mental institution.
Whoa.
And your mother and I are going to be happy. You're not getting in the way of that. Bye-bye. And as he tries to leave, Buffy grabs his arm and she says, give me that book. You're not taking it.
Yeah, that's mine.
And he says, take your hand off me. She says, no. And he slaps her.
He slaps her. And that was very difficult to watch.
It was. And she stands up and she's like, oh, I was hoping you'd do that.
Oh, yeah. She's like, a green light to kick your fucking ass. And she does.
And they're scuffling. Joyce hears it.
Joyce comes up the stairs and all she sees is Buffy kicking Ted's ass.
Yeah. She's like, Buffy, stop it. Stop.
And Buffy kicks him down the stairs.
Yep.
And in the course of this kerfluffle between the two of them, she accidentally kills him.
Yeah. He falls down the stairs. Joyce runs down and she's like checking his pulse. And she looks back up at Buffy and says, you killed
him.
Which...
he's dead.
Yeah.
Or, oh my gosh, what a terrible accident.
No, and see, I go back and forth on my harshness with Joyce in this particular moment because I don't know what I would say. Sure. I would hope I would be like, he's dead.
Maybe it just came out that way.
Yeah. But for Buffy, that's like, you could just tell, it feels like she's been slapped in the face, literally by her mother now, by saying, you killed him. Whew. So we cut to the front of the house. Buffy's sitting on the steps, just looking like dissociated and traumatized. And they're zipping Ted up in a body bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ted's true nature was revealed when he attacks Buffy.
Yes.
Just after she tried to kind of investigate his background. But I think there's more to it than that. She accidentally kills him. Kind of leads to a little crisis of conscience for her in this moment. And you can tell that the way she's sitting on the front steps. And we, in this process of kind of a crisis of conscience, there's also legal trouble now that we're looking at as a detective.
Oh, we meet a detective.
Has come. Yeah. I mean, so here we are. There's the coroner's office. There's police milling around. There's a detective. So I guess Sunnydale kind of picks and chooses which violent crimes they show up to. And we have Detective, what's his name?
Stein.
Detective Stein would like to have some words with Joyce.
Yes.
And starts asking her questions.
Yeah. She's like, how did you know Ted? What happened? Joyce said he fell.
And then Buffy volunteers, I killed him.
And she says, I hit him.
Okay.
Ooh.
Joyce and Buffy.
Tough.
You have the right to remain silent.
Yeah.
Because anything that you say or do could be used against you in a court of law.
I've watched enough Law and Order Special Victims Unit to know that
TikTok videos.
Yes. There could be grounds for dismissal of this case because it doesn't appear like they were properly Mirandized.
Say nothing.
Nothing. What if we had Law and Order Sunnydale edition?
Dun dun
dun dun dun dun dun dun. Vampires. Dun 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 dun. Robots. Dun, dun. Yeah, I mean, this is some Mickey Mouse police sport, but it's Sunnydale, so we're not.
Just you wait.
You
think it's Mickey Mouse?
Oh, that's true.
The next scene, we are in the Sunnydale Police Department's office. Okay. And it's buzzing.
There's people everywhere.
I counted no less than 6 officers in uniform, plus 1 or 2 other detectives. Like
plain clothes, yeah.
What?
Where have they been? All these murders.
There are trophies displayed on a shelf. Where did those come from? Like most missing persons award,
I mean, like,
most unsolved
crime.
crimes award. What's
where
going
have
on?
these people been?
In their office, milling about. I guess
There's so much like papers being shuffled in.
Yeah, there's a lot of crimes being.
No, we got papers.
Yeah.
We got papers
No.
to file.
Folks are reporting crimes left and right. There's so many reports they can't ever get out of the office.
They can't get out of the office. They're too busy doing paperwork.
Oh my God.
So Buffy's now in the interrogation room with Detective Stein. And again, she's a minor.
This is a hard scene, so
She's a
buckle
minor.
up.
Yeah. In an interrogation room without a parent
Mm,
or a lawyer present.
right.
Zip your lips. And this is a PSA for anyone listening. We are not legal experts. We are not lawyers. We are not law enforcement. We are not nothing.
But a good rule of thumb is to zip it.
Zip it. If you do not have a lawyer with you, you are not obligated to speak to police. Zip your lips. They will keep you there all day. You just zip it.
So he's questioning her by herself in a room. And, basically, tell me what happened. She's like, well, he hit me. And he said, well, where did he hit you? And she points to her face.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like he hit you very hard.
Tough.
So forget the fact that he hit her.
Yeah.
According to this officer, this detective sign, it didn't look like it was very hard. And then he says, I get it. Things get out of hand. He's a big guy. And this scene really irks me because so many victims have to find themselves a victim again when they're not believed by an authority figure, whether that's a parent or a family member or a trusted individual or law enforcement.
Yep.
Where it's dismissed as, well, he didn't hit you very hard. Well, he's a big guy and sometimes things get out of hand. And it's like, no, that was really tough. Buffy's there trying to be honest about what happened. And at the same time is being made to feel like it was her fault.
Yeah.
In some sort of way.
It's really sad. And like you pointed out, this is unfortunately what has been a historical pattern and still exists today. This is why a lot of victims, primarily women, but men as well, don't come forward with multiple types of abuse because these are the kind of questions they run into. And I understand people who have to operate within the law and they have to figure out what happened and they have to make sure people are being honest. Right. But there's a way to do it without
the commentary.
Right. You could say, oh, noted.
Right.
You don't have to be like, looks like he didn't hit you very hard. Shut the fuck up, Detective Stein.
Right. Yeah. No, you're not the judge, sir.
No. Do your job and be empathetic. So Joyce comes out, or Detective Stein comes out, and Joyce comes up to him and she asks if they're charging Buffy. And he's like, no, not at this time. Basically, we're going to keep investigating. You guys should go home and try to get some rest. And they drive home and it's silence. And you could just tell Buffy and Sarah Michelle Gellar is such a good actor because you can see it on her face. She wants her mother to reach out to her.
Yeah, you can feel it.
She wants her mother to say something and Joyce doesn't. They just drive in silence.
They drive home in silence. And then the next morning, Buffy gets up and she goes to school.
In her casual overalls. That's her,
would you call them her comfort overalls?
Those are comfort overalls, yes. Yeah. When Buffy's sad or mad or stressed, she puts on those overalls. We're going to see him again.
And hey, this is a fashion slave for me. She looks great. She's got a black t-shirt on with these comfy overalls. She's got what appears to be, or is supposed to appear to be, not a whole lot of makeup because, probably she just kind of rolled out of bed and threw her hair up. Yeah, I think she looks great.
She looks great. Sarah Michelle Gellar really does look great in anything. I hated the top previously, but
I loved it.
You did not.
Oh, that top. Yeah. Right. So that one we agree on.
Yeah. And people are, looking at her. She walks in and they're whispering and Willow runs up and she's like,
it's been in the paper.
Yeah, it's been in the newspaper. And she's like, what are you doing at school, Buffy? And look, I took umbrance.
You did.
Because I feel like the moment they heard something had happened, they would have been at Buffy's house. Like, what do you need? Mm-hmm. Not, we're just going to go to school and we'll see Buffy later. Like, it just doesn't feel like real characterization. What they could have done is have Willow be like, are you sure you want to be here? Like, we can just leave. We'll go to your house. But,
Right.
just to establish that she has let her best friends in.
That's right.
And then Xander's like, okay, so what did he end up being? Are we talking creature feature here?
Is he a vampire? Is he a demon? What's going on here? Which it's like, okay, cool. Xander's coming around to the idea that if Buffy's willing to kick this guy's ass to a point where she kills him, there must be more.
And Buffy's
something
like,
else is going on here.
And she says, no, I killed a person.
Yeah, she's really feeling guilty and sitting with these feelings of having not only killed a person, but also her mom's boyfriend.
It's a lot. And she does a good job of showing just how traumatized and devastated she is. I mean, she's up until now, she's been like a superhero, and she's been using her powers for good and hurting bad people, for lack of a better word, vampires, the Order of Taraka.
Yeah.
Although she didn't know that guy was an Order of Taraka, fully thought she was, he was attacking them.
Yeah.
But still fully sliced his neck open with her ice skates before knowing.
Well, that's it. She's really processing. She's like, I don't think she meant to kill him.
Yeah.
And she did. It was an accident.
It was.
He fell down the stairs. And, it's just, I think killing mortals hits different for Slayer than the other. And so she's having to sit with this on the fact that
this is the first
this was
time.
Also a bad person.
Yes.
And no one believed that about him. And it was also her mom's boyfriend. There's just so many feelings that she's sitting with. It's a heavy episode.
It is. And then Giles comes up to her in the hallway and he's like, are you all right? Like, what do you need? And oh, poor Buffy. And we go to the library, and Xander's on. He's on it now. He's like, we've got to prove something was up with Ted. Like, we've got to pull all of his records. We've got to figure this out. And he's like, if Buffy goes to jail, I'm going to lose it. Like, we got to solve this. Mm-hmm. And we have a really interesting conversation here.
It's Xander.
Mm-hmm.
It is Cordelia. Mm-hmm. And it is Willow.
Yeah.
In the library. And of course, we're in the library. So we have our school librarian, Giles. And during this conversation, he's packing his duffel bag.
Oh, fuck, yes.
From the artillery cage.
Yeah, his cage of weapons.
His cage of weapons. And I have to just laugh because every time he pulls his duffel bag out, this is the duffel bag that he brings to fights as backup. He's got to have all his weapons in this bag.
Yeah.
Never packs a steak, or he brings the bag and never uses it.
It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, it really doesn't.
But he's taking this seriously.
Yeah.
He's planning to pick up the slack.
He does pack the crossbow.
Yeah, that's the first thing he packs is the crossbow, which
great.
Okay, that's safe.
Yeah. And, they get Willow on the click clack. She's going to pull up all his records. And, Xander's like, if Buffy's going to go to jail, I'm going to lose it. He's got to be in there, Willow, history of domestic violence, criminal record. We got to find something. Then he pulls out a bag. He goes, oh, cookies. These are leftover cookies that Ted made. So, and Cordelia, this is a really interesting conversation. Cordelia says, I don't get it. Buffy's a Slayer. Shouldn't she? And Xander says, what? A license to kill? And Cordelia's like, well, no, obviously not for fun, but she's like Superman. Shouldn't there be different rules for her? And Willow says, sure, in a fascist society.
Willow's Antifa. I love it. Of course she is.
And Cordelia, what would it? Well, those things on the internet. R.I.P. Willow, you would have loved Antifa. I don't know. Cordelia says, right, why can't we have one of those? And it's an interesting conversation because Buffy.
I think this is a great scene because the pack is coming, the gang is coming together.
Yeah.
And they're coming together to rally around Buffy. And Giles is packing. He says, I'm planning to pick up the slack tonight. I'm going to the cemetery and I'm going to do the patrol.
Yeah.
And they say, well, we'll come help you. And he says, no. You need to help Buffy. You need to be with Buffy right now. I'll take care of this. You take care of that. So we have the delegation of responsibilities between the Scooby gang. You got Willow leading the charge with the Click-Clacks. This gang's coming together.
The team is working.
Yeah.
I had to point out this one line though, because it was really funny when Giles is like, the guilt that she's feeling. Hold on, what is it? You know, whatever the authorities have planned for her, it can't be much worse than what she's doing to herself.
That's right.
She's taken a human life, and it won't go away anytime soon. And
That's so relatable.
It's a poignant line. How is it relatable?
That's just very relatable. Where
I was like, if you killed somebody, sorry.
No, but I think what he's pointing out is the feeling of guilt and shame for something that you've done, whether it was intentional or not.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know, what he's saying is so true. You know, it's like, hey, you know, she's putting herself through so much worse than anything else that someone else is going to do.
Yeah.
And I think all of us at some point or another as humans can just relate to that sort of, you know, condition.
Absolutely. Such a, like, again, moving, poignant moment. And then Cordelia pipes up with, well, I guess you should know since you helped raise that demon that killed that guy that one time. And Giles is like, yeah, okay, let's keep bringing that up. Then he leaves. And then, you know, they decide that, yeah, they're going to keep investigating. The three of them will delegate tasks.
Oh, yeah. You know, it is poignant because Giles has also been beating himself up.
Exactly. For what happened with Jenny, what happened to his old friends, Philip and
That's
Deirdre.
right.
Like, he's got a lot of this guilt.
That's where that came from.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
And then Giles leaves, and then Xander's all of a sudden Peppy McPepperson. He's like, we got this. Willow, you're the smartest girl I know. I love you, blah, blah, blah.
And she is.
And she's like, okay. And she picks up the cookie and she starts looking at it. So then
this whole cookie storyline just really seems like just such a
it's wibbly wobbly.
Unnecessary.
We didn't need the cookies.
We don't need it.
I mean, I know because
there's not enough emphasis of, like, I don't see it. Would be weird if they were all acting like, whoa, and you're like, something's up with those cookies. Xander's just acting like himself.
He maybe on Adderall. You know what I mean? It's not like
I didn't even notice the cookie thing until we started. Until you pointed it out later.
And you know, they pointed out where they're like, you know, we'll find out from Willow shortly that it's got basically tranquilizers in it.
Right.
If you were eating things with tranquilizers in it, you would be like, ugh, not like.
Right. No, these
everything
are like
is fine.
Cookies.
Right. And I feel like what they should have done is maybe something that was a little bit more mind control related.
Thank you.
Or like,
I got nothing from that. And I don't know who else ate these fucking cookies.
And that's why when we get to steak ratings, it couldn't get to a 4 for me because this doesn't make sense.
It makes zero sense.
No. And how long does it stay in your system?
And how long did he take writing this little snippet about a cookie? Like, whose idea was it? Oh, let's put cookies in there.
It's just weird.
To believe that you'd be manipulated by somebody. No, it's very easy to be manipulated by someone like fucking Ted. You don't need a fucking tranquilizer and EDM fucking cookie to get to that point.
No, it's just, it falls apart for me. So we go to Buffy's house. Joyce is in the kitchen packing up dishes.
Yeah, you know, we've discussed this before. I think a lot of people, when they're stressed and they feel maybe that things are beyond their control, they tend to do things that they do have control over, which one of those is like cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like manic kind of like
the
behavior.
Decluttering. We got to clean.
We got to get rid of stuff.
Yeah.
We got to clean stuff out. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Easy trigger.
Why don't you process your feelings?
Process your feelings.
Yeah. And Buffy offers to help, and Joyce says it's done. And Buffy she's a little kid. She's like, I didn't mean to hurt him. And Joyce shuts her down. She's like, I don't want to talk about this right now.
This is your child.
It's your child. And like we talked about earlier with Giles and Jenny, it is okay to have a boundary to tell somebody, hey, I can't have this conversation right now. I need some time. That does not apply when it's a situation between a minor, a child, and a parent. The parent, you sometimes have to be that support system for your child, and you can't shut them down. You can say, hey, this is a difficult conversation for me. I might stumble. I might struggle, but how can I help support you? And by doing that, you're going to set your child up for better communication, better processing. It's hard for you as the adult. We get it.
That's your job.
That's literally your job when you have a child, is to protect that child, keep that child safe.
Sure. And help them process their emotions.
But it was 97, so that's what you did back then. Yeah. And
today.
You know, she basically just says, go to your room. It's so fucking sad to see. So you go to the lab. Willow has been studying the cookies. She's on it. I do like this line. Turns out the secret ingredient isn't love. It's a tranquilizer that keeps you mellow and compliant, and it shares components with ecstasy.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. Doesn't make sense. It just does not make sense. I have heard allegedly when you take drugs like ecstasy or MDMA,
Mm-hmm.
you feel euphoric.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you feel good. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be gaslit and believe it. These two things do not compute to me.
No, it's not working for me. The cookie line is not, it has no relevance and no bearing to this entire situation.
Now, again, if it was a tranquilizer and they started acting like someone who was maybe on
right
an opioid or something where they are addled, that makes sense. But like tranquilizers and ecstasy, sounds like you go to sleep. You maybe go to a rave and then take a solid nap.
Yeah.
I don't know. But she's, Willow and Xander have kind of cracked the code that he was using the cookies to control everybody. And then Cordelia comes in. She's like, I've got his personal records.
Aha.
And everybody's going to like jump up and, go team.
Yeah.
So this next scene, we're going to do some combo.
Oh.
Because we are going to get to Jenny and Giles.
Oh, they're back.
They're back. Giles is in the park looking for vampires. And Jenny comes up. And she's like, sneaks up on him, which is ma'am, you just went through some mad trauma.
Yeah.
And you're going to follow him into a park when he's got his sport bag full of
duffel bag full of weapons. And
you're going to be like,
surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
That's so great.
And so, Brian, I know we've already done a vampire black box theater.
We have?
I think we should do another one.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to combine scenes.
Let's do a combo.
Yeah, we're going to do this scene and the later scene when Giles gets smoked with the crossbow.
I love it. An old Jenny Giles combo.
Oh.
Let's do it.
A little dolly.
No, not you. Jenny Calendar.
Good Lord.
Suck fast. Okay. Here we go.
Mental image I did not want at this moment. God.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
On today's second edition of Vampire Black Box Theater, the role of Rupert Giles will be played by Ryan something. And the role of Jenny Calendar will be played by me, Jennifer Katz. Scene.
We cut to the park. Giles is walking slowly past some bushes, weapons bag in hand. He's startled, spins around holding up a cross. Ah!
Yeah, I get that reaction from men all the time.
Jenny, what are you doing here?
I saw your car back there. I wanted to apologize.
Well, now is not the best time to...
No. Please. Let me just get this out. I was so harsh the other day. I am so sorry. I mean, I know how badly you must feel about putting me in danger before and...
right in Hom's view now. He looks past her. A vampire comes out of the bushes behind Jenny and growls at them.
Giles and the vampire engage in some tussling. In the meantime, Jenny pulls out the crossbow from the bag. Say goodnight, big guy.
The vampire turns Giles around just as Jenny lets the bolt fly, and it hits Giles in the lower left of his back. Ah! Jenny lowers the crossbow and looks at them, shocked at what had happened.
Oh, God!
The vampire lets go of Giles and steps back. Giles grabs the shaft of the bolt and bends over in pain.
Oh, no.
She bends down to the bag and searches frantically for another bolt. Vampire. Nice shot, lady. Giles rends the bolt from his bag and jams it into the vampire's chest. Jenny is kneeling, holding Giles.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry.
I think I'm all right.
You're just in shock.
No, really, it didn't go in that deep. The advantages of layers of tweed, I guess. Better than Kevlar.
We still got to get you to a hospital.
Yes. They start to move. Ow, ow. Let's move slowly, shall we? Still crazed by the whole deal, Jenny actually starts laughing. What is it?
Some night, huh? You sure know how to woo a girl back, don't you?
Hey, oh, ow.
Hospital.
Yes.
See.
Very good.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Okay, I've got 2 points of order here.
Point of order.
Point of order. Not only should Jenny not be sneaking up on Giles when he has his weapons bag.
Don't want to sneak up on anyone with a weapon, with a loaded weapon.
No. And second point of order.
Mm-hmm.
How did the crossbow kill the vampire?
Yes.
I need to double check, but the stake has to be made of wood.
Uh-huh.
The tip of a crossbow bolt is usually metal. Am I right?
Well, these might be special crossbow bolts.
They're all wood?
We have to assume. It's the best we can do in this situation.
Just pointing it out.
Poor Giles took one for the team for sure.
Luckily, all those layers of tweed.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Hey, like Kevlar.
Yeah. So they, we see
Cute little scene.
the beginning of the mending of their relationship.
Right. Yeah. Jenny's like, hey, she's been ruminating on this, and she felt like maybe their interaction at school, that she had been a little harsh on him.
Yeah.
Coming around to the idea that he really was, caring for her.
Yeah.
In his effort to see if she was okay. And, she was certainly deserving of her space. And maybe she took that space and realized, okay, cool.
Yeah.
See where we go from here.
It's cute.
Everyone in their own time, move at your own pace.
I'm glad they're taking Giles to the hospital.
I am very glad.
Because if they are wooden crossbow bolts on splinters,
oh God,
that could be dangerous.
Madam.
Wood poisoning? Is that a thing?
We've got bigger fish to fry.
All right. So we cut to Buffy's room. Joyce has sent her upstairs, and Buffy says, forget this. Yeah. And she goes to open her window.
And it's bolted shut.
It's bolted shut. She's like, she bolted it shut. She nailed the window shut. She turns around and guess who's back?
Ted is standing in her room.
Ooh.
Ted's dead.
He should be dead.
Ted's back.
Ted is back.
Gestures him to her chair.
Oh gosh. Okay. So Buffy's like, you died. And he says, that's right, little lady. You killed me. Do we have something to say? Are we sorry?
Oh, no.
It's gross. And Buffy asks him, she's like, what are you? And he's like, I'm a salesman. Software salesman of the year. No, he doesn't say that. But
she means like, what this kind of creature are you?
Right. And this is again, we're going to discuss more violence, physical violence. He says, you should remember, no matter how hard you put a salesman down, and he smacks her and says, a good salesman always bounces back. It's really, really bad. And he starts saying weird stuff. They're fighting. She kicks him. They're hitting each other. And he says, I had to shut down for a little while to get you off my back. You should have seen the intern's face when I got up off the table. No one thought to call Joyce or anyone when a body gets off the table. I guess he killed the intern.
I guess so.
And he's choking Buffy at this point. She's, flailing. What does she grab?
She grabs a nail file.
That's right. I couldn't remember if it was a knife or a nail file.
It's a nail file.
Yeah.
She stabs him in the arm, and I guess in the forearm. And evidently it kind of tears his skin, and we see wires and circuits, and we realize Ted's a robot. Or a machine of some sort.
Yeah.
As Neil would say. Ted the machine.
And then Buffy, when she stabs him, she says, how do you like it being hurt? Ooh, yeah. So he backhands her so hard, or does he kick her in the...
I think he kicks her.
Kicks her in the head, knocks her out. And then he goes down to reunite with Joycie.
Yeah.
Tough. But before we get there, we cut to Willow, Cordelia, and Xander.
This is the part of the episode in Buffy where things move fast and loose. So hang up.
Yeah.
Hang on.
They're going to Ted's house, his apartment, and they get in and it looks kind of like no one's living there. There's like equipment, weird stuff. And Willow states that she counts 4 marriage certificates. And Xander says, any divorce papers? And Willow says, nope. And Xander says, either our boy was a Mormon or that made me laugh. She's like, the first one says he got married in 1957. So either Ted's like, he married really young or something's coming up. And then Cordelia notices a lovely Persian rug.
It's hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're at Ted's apartment
Mm-hmm.
or office or
Whatever it is.
And she notices that the rug doesn't quite fit in. So they pull the rug back and there is a trap door.
There is a trap door.
And
Full ass 1950s time capsule underneath.
full apartment.
Full apartment. 1950s furniture,
Everything in its place.
fixtures. Everything is period appropriate for the 1950s.
It is.
Yeah. So we go back to Buffy's house. Joyce is in the kitchen. She hears someone coming. She thinks it's Buffy. And she's like, Buffy, I'm sorry. She turns around. It's Ted. And she freaks out like, gasp. And she says, Ted, is it really you? He says, I'm okay. I'm okay. They hug. And Joyce is immediately, her hackles are up. She's like, why didn't anyone tell me? He's like, oh, they must not have had time. What does he say? He was dead? I feel like.
Yeah, he says he was dead for 6 minutes. And then he was resuscitated, but he was unconscious up until
he woke up on the table.
He woke up on the table, and then I don't know. And, she's kind of wondering like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you're still alive. And he says, don't worry, Daddy's here. And he's holding
Ew.
Her. And we all got the big ick on that one.
The big ick.
The big ick.
And we cut back to Ted's apartment. Scoobies are investigating. Xander's like, all right, Teddy, what skeletons do you have in your closet?
Well, turns out actual skeletons.
He opens it and he immediately shuts it. And I got to give Nicholas Brendan some credit here because we see from the perspective of him looking in the closet, we don't see what's in the closet, and his face tells you everything.
Right.
He shuts it. And he's like, we got to go now.
No.
Like, what did you see? What's in the closet? And he goes, Ted's 4 other wives. These kids are going to need so much therapy.
He needs industrial strength therapy.
Yeah, they never seek it.
No.
That's why we need a follow-up to the Buffy series. We need to know how these adults all came out.
So we go back to Buffy's, and Joyce is like, hey, let's go talk to Buffy. Let's tell her the news. And Ted's like, no. And he's
like, I'll handle Buffy.
I'll handle Buffy. And he's starting to short circuit. He's like, don't I always tell you what to do? Want a little gravy with that? I don't take orders from women. I'm not wired that way.
That line.
Ugh. And Joyce is like,
yeah, she's like, well, first I need to pack a bag.
Yeah.
And he says, there's no need to pack a bag. I have everything for you.
It's all in your size. It's
all in your size. And he's short circuiting, and you can tell Joyce is realizing there is something
is wrong
here. This is not normal behavior. And she says, well, maybe you need to take it easy.
Yeah. She's like, you need to sit down.
You've had a lot that's happened to you.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like, nope, let's go.
Yeah.
And he shoves her so hard that she hits the wall and knocks her unconscious.
Well, and before he does that, he says, you left me once, but I keep bringing you back. Husband and wife is forever, forever, forever. He is definitely short circuiting. And he can hear Buffy is trying to get out of her room because he's locked the door. And Joyce in this moment, he tries to grab her, and Joyce is trying to get free. And that's when he shoves her against the wall.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Hard.
And she's asking, she's like, let go of me. Please let go of me. And he slams her into the wall, and she, is knocked unconscious. And he goes looking for Buffy. Yeah. He goes to the kitchen, and he's, come on out, Buffy. I don't stand for this kind of malarkey in my house.
Gross.
Buffy steps up behind him, and she's carrying that cast iron skillet
that he used for the pizza.
Mm-hmm. And she smokes him.
She does.
And he sits back up, and you can see, this is great makeup. I love this practical effect.
Really good, yeah.
it's like half of his face is gone and you can see all the robot beneath. And he's really starting to like short circuit. Easy. How about a nice game of Parcheesi? And, you know, she says, this house is mine, and hits him again.
He's gone.
He gone. Bye. And then we cut to Joyce and Buffy shelling peas on the front porch. Buffy's like, want to rent a movie? And Joyce says, nothing with horror, romance, or men. And Buffy says, guess we're Thelma and Louising it again. And Joyce is talking about, she's scared. She's like, I still keep thinking he's going to pop up. And Buffy's like, no, he's not coming back. And we cut to the high school. And Xander's giving us a little bit more background. So it turns out in the 50s, Ted was dying. We don't know of what.
Okay.
And his wife wants to leave him. Instead of dying, he turns himself into a robot and then keeps his wife. Yeah.
As one does.
Keeps his wife hostage until he dies. Or I'm sorry, until she dies.
Then he marries another one. Then repeats the cycle.
Yes. And wow. Willow was like, her scientist hat is on. She's like, I mean, wow, the like technology. This is so fascinating. This is so interesting. And Buffy's like, Willow, tell me you didn't keep any parts. Willow's like, but I want to learn.
Yeah, but I can't tell you that because I did.
And Cordelia's just walking in the hallway with him. She's got her little V-neck with her scarf. And
she's part of the gang.
She's part of the gang.
Love that.
Buffy's like, I'm just ready to move on from this. But she walks up to the library door.
And who's there?
Ooh, buddy. She turns around and she's like, do I have to have an air horn announcing when I'm walking into a room?
Giles and Miss Calendar are smooching.
Ooh, they're getting after it.
And again, it's another great framing shot of the two of them smooching together. Anyway, it's great. I love that they have buried the hatchet, so to speak.
They have. And then I love these little details with Buffy's like, ugh. She walks off. Willow's like hurrying behind her. Xander and Cordelia peek in and it shows them they smile because they're like, we know what that's like.
Wink, wink, nod, nod. See you in the closet. Hey.
Well, that was Ted.
It was. And the one thing that I think was lacking from the end of this episode was an apology from Joyce.
It's hard
to Buffy.
Same.
For not listening to her.
For not believing her.
She didn't necessarily have to believe her, but she could have listened to her.
She could have, but she didn't.
And she didn't. So anyway, that was unfortunate that Buffy didn't get that. But, you know, we don't always get the apology that we want from people, even, you know, at times where we think that we deserve it.
Sad, but true.
Sad, but true. Okay.
Guess what time it is, Ryan?
I know.
Oh, someone put a stake in me.
Spike. Love Spike. I can't wait to see Spike again. But will we? We don't know. We don't know what happened after the organ fell on him.
Will it be Angel's stake that he gets put in? Okay. I gave this.
Wow.
He's asking for someone.
Asking for a friend. Norman, is that you? Okay.
Is that a stake, not a fist? Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Impressive, Spike.
Unhinged. Okay.
Whatever. Hey. Took some training. All right. The major. Are we ready?
Oh my God. Okay. What is your stake rating, Randy? What do you got? Rand?
I mean, it takes some effort. Okay.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Okay.
So.
My
stake rating is a 4.
A 4. Okay.
And here's why.
Okay, let's hear it.
First off, John Ritter.
I mean,
okay,
character's terrible. His acting is phenomenal.
It's great. It's very versatile. He's like the nice guy, and he's super sinister, and you don't know.
He's having so much fun with this role.
Like him or hate him, but he's having so much fun with this role. But major themes of this episode are about hidden dangers and the seemingly perfect facades and the importance of trusting one's instincts.
Yeah.
And you see that with Buffy's initial distrust of Ted. Despite his charming exterior, it underscores the importance of listening to one's gut feelings when someone seems off.
Yeah.
And again, the facade of perfection that Ted appears to be this perfect boyfriend. He's so nice to Joyce and so nice to Xander and to Willow, but his true nature is sinister.
Yep.
The episode highlights how outward appearances can be deceiving and warns, against taking things at face value.
Yes. They do a good job of that. They really do.
They do. The episode also explores two other important issues for me, which are domestic abuse, control, manipulation, and just the complexity of human relationships.
Yeah.
This show does a great job at unpacking all of that this episode. Ted's controlling behavior, the revelation of his past, his abusive past with his other wives, sheds light on subtleties of domestic abuse, emphasizes that it can often be hidden and, behind this mask of normalcy or charm.
Yeah.
And so that was very difficult for Joyce to even wrap her head around it or even acknowledge that this person may be
not who they seem
or who my child is indicating that they might be. And then there's Buffy's, again, unpacking these complex emotions, her struggle with her actions, believing that she's killed someone, a human, not just any human, but her mom's boyfriend who she just doesn't like and who was threatening to her. Kind of brings forth the theme of, morality and guilt and the gray areas of decision making for her own self-defense.
Yeah.
So all of these really heavy, and again, we talked about this. This is a deep episode.
It is.
You've got all of these themes, which are really important for, monster of the week can be a real person. And for all intents and purposes, Ted is a real individual.
He's a robot.
We realize he's a machine, but he's the message here is that this can be real people in your lives. And for the Scoobies working together as a gang, I love that.
Love Cordy being a member of the gang.
She's officially a full member and actively participating, not complaining, but like taking initiative.
Yes.
Which is great. You've got something buzzing between her and Xander, which, again, could they have painted this picture a little bit better? Of course, but I'm here for it now.
Yeah.
It's great. And you've got Giles and Jenny Calendar, who are really, I thought that this was very well laid out in, hey, are you okay? No, I'm not. I need some space.
Right.
My feelings are hurt by that. Don't get your feelings hurt because I'm processing. And then her coming back around saying, I felt kind of bad about how we left things. Maybe I was a bit too harsh. And again, now her stepping in and being the one to kind of save the day.
Yeah.
After she shoots him with an arrow. Anyway, it's cute.
It is.
This whole relationship that they have going on, this kind of push and pull, and them finally finding their footing again.
It's good.
I love it. So for all of these reasons, and we get Joyce, and we hardly ever get to see Joyce in an episode where she's got, more than just a side role.
Yeah.
We get to see Joyce for all of these reasons. I think it's great. It checks all the boxes for me. We even get to see Angel. We get to see a smooch with Angel. And,
we do.
And Buffy, and that's a cute little interaction. So it's like all of these little things that we've been getting for multiple episodes in this season are all kind of here together. The only thing we're not getting is Spike and Drusilla.
Right.
Which I know probably bums you out.
It does.
But for all of these reasons, it's a 4.
All right.
For me.
I'm giving it a 3.7 because while I love the usage of a real world monster, not a vampire, and yes, he's a robot, they could have kept him not a robot. They could have showed Buffy dealing with a real world monster.
Right.
That to me.
And the cookies.
The cookies killed me. Like the cookies threw me out. We didn't need the cookies.
Not at all.
He could have been, if we're going to go with the robot, like supernatural angle, he could have been releasing some kind of gas, some kind of control mechanism. I don't know. But cookies and mini pizzas with tranks and ecstasy in it doesn't make sense to me. I don't necessarily like I don't know how much I want to like. I'm trying to thread the needle with what I don't like about Joyce based off my own trauma and triggering and what's like not good TV and good writing.
Right. But we're here to talk about how this show has impacted you to a certain extent. And so this is interesting to me and probably to our listeners. So I'd love to know how you can relate to this and why.
Yeah, no, it's hard to see Buffy talk to her mother and Joyce be like, he would never do that. I've been in that situation with, a parent and being kind of brushed off and like, basically it was about them, and not about me as a child. And it's hard to see. That's why I don't like this episode as much. Cause like when they make Joyce this mom who's like, Buffy, he would never do anything to you. Or, Buffy, you were rude to Ted.
Right.
Buffy, you need to do this. Like you need to change your behavior, not the adult.
Right. It's triggering.
And even at the end, when she still doesn't look at her child and say, I am sorry.
That's it for me.
They could have easily done that.
Right.
So John Ritter, though, nailed it.
God bless him.
Love to see Angel, like you said. I love to see Giles and Jenny. It was a good episode. It's a 3-7 for me.
Cool.
So
it's a good episode. I could have done without the cookies, and I could have used an apology at the end.
Yes. But anyway, all right. We will have a brief spoiler section after the outro. So
that was a heavy
around.
Episode. Thank you for listening. Yeah. And again, if you're someone who is struggling or suffering from the themes that we've mentioned here in this show, we will link some stuff in the comments below.
Yes. And please reach out. There are resources. Thank you so much for tuning in to Once More, a Rewatch podcast. Be sure to check out our latest episodes of our sister podcast, Unhinged, which are released every Wednesday. You can watch and listen to Once More on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio.
We are at Once More Podcast on those platforms. And you can keep up with new episode drops and additional fun content on our social media pages. We are at Once More Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and the Once More Pod on X.
We sure are. Thank you for tuning in to Once More. See you next Friday for episode 12 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, season 2, Bad Eggs. This is going to be an episode.
I'm Ryan something.
I'm Jen Katz.
And remember, we don't put up with that sort of malarkey around here.
Little lady. Bye.
Bye.
Spoilers. Okay.
Okay.
Robots. Let's talk about the robots of it all.
I'm not a robot.
Beep boop. So we're going to see robots later on in the show. In season 5, Warren will make a robot named April.
The Buffy bot.
Yeah. So Warren makes April, and April gets, I think Warren makes her and then leaves her because he gets a real girlfriend.
Okay.
And April is programmed. She was made to love Warren. She's running around Sunnydale trying to find Warren. Have you seen my boyfriend? Have you seen my boyfriend?
He gets a little old.
And she throws Spike out of a window, which delights Buffy to no end.
Delights all of us.
Delights all of us. And after we meet April, Spike goes to Warren's house with a box of Buffy's things and a photo of Buffy in like a blonde wig thrown in there. And he's like,
I love the wig.
Make me one. So we get the Buffy bot.
Yeah. What season is that? That's
season 5.
Season 5, right.
Season 5.
By that point, Spike has got a little thing for Buffy.
He is in love.
He is. And so he wants his own.
He wants his Buffy bot.
He can't have her, so he's going to create his own.
And it's sick.
It's sick, but also disturbingly funny.
Sarah Michelle Gellar's The Buffy Bot is one of my favorite
so
things.
Good. So good.
That'll put marzipan in your pie plate. Bingo. She's so funny. And she's like, Spike? She's so... It's
a fun little role play thing for her, I think.
It is. And there's all the lines where she's like, he's Spike. Oh, he's like...
Oh, yeah.
6-pack abs.
He's loving it.
It's really funny. So, yeah, we'll get to see...
Yeah. It's fun.
We'll get to see more robots. And so that's all really in the spoiler section. Oh, and then also just, God, we are barreling towards Jenny Calendar's death. And it makes me so sad seeing Giles and Jenny reunite and then knowing.
No.
Really, I think in only like 3 or 4.
No.
Maybe 4 episodes from now in Passions, Angel kills her. So it's really sad.
Bitch.
Fucking Angel. But that's all.
Now I'm sad.
So sorry. Would you like a chocolate chip cookie or a mini pizza?
Could you slip me a drugged cookie, please?
If I had a nickel. All right, bye.